Hi, welcome to Northwest Off-Road. I am Dan, and this is my Nissan Pathfinder 2004. And today, we're going to talk about the bumper. Check it out. So why did I add a front bumper? A couple of reasons. First reason is tire clearance. These are my 35-inch tires. Before I had 33-inch tires, and they rubbed a lot, especially on the front bumper. So the first reason was, well, needed room for the tires. Second reason was, well, I needed a winch. There's this mini boot 9500 winch in here. I lead many runs with this, and as a leader I need a winch or something so I can do recoveries if needed, and the winch is what was totally necessary. I've used this winch many times, and so bumper, winch just kind of went together. Third reason is it's just cool. Looks aggressive, looks nice. And the last reason is, of course, well, the most important reason is it definitely gives more clearance for obstacles, exposes the tire more so I can go over rocks easier without hitting a bumper. Also gives protection. Fifth reason would be protection from the front, hitting something like a tree, but also the sides. They act as a barrier. I'd rather hit the bumper, of course, than hit my body panel or light and break it. So those are reasons why I wanted a bumper. So which bumper did I choose and why? Well, there's several out there. There's the ARB bumper for the Pathfinder, and that's a great bumper. But it's pretty heavy, pretty big, pretty expensive too. But you get what you pay for. And there's a Coastal Off-Road bumper too, which is a great bumper as well. That's really even tighter fitting, probably a lot lighter than the ARB, but again, it's kind of pricey. I decided that this would be my first welding project, and instead of buying an expensive bumper, I go buy a welder and buy some metal, build a bumper. So that's what I did here. But that's kind of a big task when you just start out with a pile of metal and just some ideas. So I was looking around to see, is there something I could work off of that's already kind of put together in the basic structure, and it was a Jeep XJ. So this is actually a Jeep XJ bumper. It's a DIY kit sold on Amazon, and I started there because then I would have a structure to go off of, kind of idea. I saw some other photos out there of people who've installed them, so I had a good idea to go off of, and I figured that'd be a good starting point for building a bumper from scratch. So that's what I did. Just looking at this to start out with, you can see the XJ bumper is actually all flat. This is the base of the XJ here, and then this, and then the wing that goes to the side. And I could have used it that way, but I didn't want to be all level and had the bumper there, or I didn't want to be all level and then had the winch there. The winch would have to either come out farther or have to cut away the front grille in order to make space for it. As you can see, the winch is pretty close up in there as it is, but that was all intentional. So I had to do many mock-ups to see exactly where I wanted that winch to be. Did I want to be out farther? Did I want it in farther? Did I want higher, low, etc.? I figured in and closer is better strength-wise than out and further. So I chose this idea, but it's really hard when it's that low to have the wing come out this low too. I didn't want that as well. So why not make it this upturn is what I did here. I think this is about 4 inches up and about 6 inches over, and the whole thing actually tapers back with the same angle. So I have a 2-tier type bumper then, where it's down low to fit the winch, and yet it comes up high to get the clearance that I wanted. The most difficult part to custom fabricate was this main piece right here. And it's actually a piece that comes all the way up and connects to the bumper. And this is a 3/16 plate. I had a custom use cardboard to make a template for this. I did put an angle iron in the front to put the skid plate on here. But this plate actually connects to these bolts here. There's one up here, and there's one up even further yet. And then that comes up and connects to the bumper. And that's what really holds the bumper on, is this main plate, both sides. So that was the most difficult part. As you know, the Pathfinder is a unibody, and this comes forward. This is the frame, quote unquote frame, that comes forward to about here, and it comes to a T. I actually end up bending that one piece. If I had to do it again, I would just cut it off. So the bending just made it more difficult, and to get spacing right, cutting off I would definitely do next time because I never use it anyway. So this is the main piece though that really holds everything on. The side plate on the passenger side is a little bit more hidden because the washer reservoir is in here, but you can see the same plate is here as well. 316 plate, bonded to the same spots, and that's actually what holds up underneath, connects to the inside. Done already here with the winch out. There's actually the bolts will come through and the nuts are inside there. So this was a lot of work. Definitely my welds were terrible. I had to overweld and grind down to make these work. I mean, I've even got some pits and holes in here. I mean, if I get close enough, embarrassingly, you can see it's not perfect at it by any means, but that's okay. I figured the more rough it looked, the better it would look in the car. The car kind of needs a little bit more rough edges, in my opinion. So I'll show you some pictures here, and you can see from the pictures it's pretty rough. But I was learning how to manipulate metal, and I realized it's kind of like hot glue. You can just kind of stick it and grind it away and re-weld and add more and stick it on there, or add more glue to it, more weld, and it's really customizable. So I really didn't feel any fear of doing anything bad. It's just a matter of time and energy or effort of adding and taking away, or welding and grinding away, and I figured I had nothing to lose. So I did, and I did a good job in my opinion for my first project. Certainly future projects would be better, and they are, but for being my first project, it was successful. So it definitely took a lot of time to grind this to the right position, get the welds right, or get the angles right, and re-weld and re-grind to make it look right, to get it to this spot. It definitely was quite an effort. Since I took the bumper off and the front grille, I could see a couple things that needed to be done, and I'll show some pictures or social media of this later. But two things is transmission cooler goes into the radiator, and to avoid the strawberry milkshake of death, I decided to bypass the radiator altogether. And so I used two external transmission cores to do that, and since I had the bumper off and the grill off, that was the time to do it, right? So I had a hose in all that, and at the same time, right down below, which you can't see from my video here, but right down below, the power steering line goes down right in the bottom of the frame. What a horrible spot to put that. If you end up hitting a rock or anything, it's gonna pinch that line and crack it, and then your steering's gone. So while I had this apart, I also put a power steering fluid in there as well, just to get that hose out of the way, because it's in a bad spot. So those are two things that I consider or add on when doing a bumper, because it just made sense. Do it right the first time, then way it's out of the way, it's easy to do, and then later on I don't have to worry about my bumper being away or something like that. So a little bit extra, but it was worth doing at the same time. As time went on, I've certainly added more to it. This bar wasn't here to begin with. I knew that was coming eventually. I added that on there. I like the angle that's on there on. It sticks out a little bit farther than the lights, and it sticks a little bit farther than the bumper itself and up higher. I kind of like that. I'm not too concerned about being too close. I'd rather have it out and hit here as opposed to hitting here. I feel like it's a little bit more of a feel, or I can feel something first. Also, it's nice so I can get in here. There's nothing in the way. I can pull this off and get inside without having a bar in the way. So that's why I decided to go with that angle. Of course, when you're welding, you can do whatever you want. That's the angle I like. The light came afterwards, and I had to do a 3-mount system, and since you're welding, you could just put a piece of metal on there and tack it, and that's what I did for those. The side lights came even later after that. Just basically had to grind that out and put those in. So I had a normal steel line on here at first. With the rollers, I changed it out for synthetic line, and that looks a lot nicer and fits it a little bit better. Also a little bit lighter too. So the spacing I chose was really close. It's probably about maybe 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch in here. I wanted to be pretty close, not too far away. Both sides are like that. I had to do the skid plate underneath there. Basically, for these bolts, I end up using rivet nuts, all 4 sides. As you can see, this comes onto the frame. This is the normal frame, or that's there with the R50. The recovery hooks, I cut them off after about a year. Realized that these hooks are sufficient. I don't need the recovery hooks anymore. Or these are not recovery hooks, actually they're tie-down hooks. So their usability for recovery is questionable, but I realized that these are just stronger. So I cut those off and smooth them out. The skid plate's custom. After subframe drop, I had to extend it even more, and it's certainly been used a lot. Even this last week, and I hit it again, so that helps as well. Here's a closer look with the front grille removed, and underneath you can see how everything was built. You can see this is the front tab that crosses over. That was bent in. I think I cut it off. You can see how I tabbed it in and went through both sides. Got a couple other screws back there. I think those were stock. Also, you can kind of see on this side, same type of thing down in there. Coming across. I did paint these black so they would hide more. This over here as well, and then you can see now also a better view on the transmission line coolers. This one comes up, goes down, over, comes into this guy, comes up, goes down, loops around, and goes back through. The one in the middle here is the power steering cooler. Again, it just comes up and loops down and goes through. Underneath, you can see a better view underneath here of the lines I use for power steering and also the transmission fluid cooler. I think the stock one actually came and bolted along here and is exposed extremely low and vulnerable if you happen to hit a rock or anything right there with it. So again, you can kind of see the structural inside here, how I was able to bend that and make it work. You're just gonna kind of have to figure it out on your own. Use this video to help you give you an idea of what I did. You can see I had to fold it all in this side too. This is all folded in. This is the main plate that actually goes down on the side. It connects the 3/16 plate, as you can see from the outside. Same plate, just has an angle iron, which I use rivet nuts to put the plate on to cover it. So would I recommend doing this bumper? Absolutely. It definitely takes time and energy and effort, but I'm very happy with it. It's definitely a custom bumper. Nothing else like it, particularly out there. It was a lot of work, I would say, but it was definitely worth it. But you know, money-wise and time-wise, yeah, I mean, you're gonna pay for it either way. If you're gonna buy a bumper, time is money type of thing. I just happen to put in more time on this and use the money to buy equipment instead. But I really like it. It turned out well. It looks great. It functions well. Gives me the clearance I need for the tires and protection I need for off-roading. Gives me the winch I need for recoveries and rescue. It gives me a place to mount the lights and light bars, and it looks great. If I had to do it again, yeah, I would definitely do it again, but I definitely would do the paint different. The paint's terrible, especially on this side. It's really kind of, well, almost looks like cancer. It's just blistering underneath. I'm gonna have to take it off and repaint it, and I think that's really due to bad preparation. If I would have prepared the surface better, the metal, really clean it better, ground it down better, get a better surface to paint on, it probably would, I wouldn't have this problem today. So, but that's okay. I mean, mistakes are made, and you know, stripping off and repainting it's not a huge deal. So that's basically it. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you got the time, energy, and effort, capability, or desire to want to go out there and weld and do your own project, I certainly recommend it. This has been great. Since then, other projects have been easier, I would say. Doing this rock sliders on the side and stuff kind of came after doing a project like this, and it really kind of gave me a jump start of welding. So it was kind of a 2-for-1, right? I got to learn welding, and I got a nice bumper out of it as well. So definitely recommend it. So there it is. That's my bumper. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.